What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of SWV and Xscape, the Queens of R&B, Season 1, Episode 3. So we start off with Taj and Tasha. They are at the African American Museum of Music, I think, which shows a history and progression of Black American music in America. And they are featured. They are featured at the African American. I think for sure it was Xscape, and I'm pretty sure SWV was there too, but I don't remember if they showed the pictures for SWV. But I'm pretty sure it was both groups that they were featured at this museum. And y'all don't know how proud I am of all of these ladies, because when they came out, I was probably going from junior high to high school when these groups first came out. And, you know, when you're that age, you're like 14, 15, 13 years old, you're very much influenced by the artists that you like and look up to. And I wanted to look like SWV so bad. I thought SWV had it going on. SWV, the group Jade, those were the SWV, Jade, TLC, Destiny's Child. These were the groups that I like emulated myself after. I loved these groups. In Vogue, Lord have mercy, In Vogue got a chokehold on me. In Vogue, love these groups. And so to see these two very prominent, successful girl groups, to see how far they've come, to see their ups and downs, to see that they've been through so many challenges and that they are still winning, they are still succeeding. You don't understand how good it makes my heart feel, because music is such a big part of our lives, and it's a huge part of our growing up and a huge part of us maturing. And when you hear certain songs, whether they just take you back to a more innocent time in your life, this is what SWV and Xscape represent to me. So this show is more than just watching it for drama. This show for me is like taking a trip back to my childhood, my teenage years. It is also, I'm just like in awe when I see, first of all, let's just talk about how beautiful these women are. Every single last one of them are absolutely gorgeous. They have aged so well, and they just got better and better. And you see, along with the everlasting beauty that they all possess, they also have such confidence in themselves. And these are women who are in their 50s, but don't look a day over 25. Okay. It's just so breathtaking to see. And then what I love about this show as well, it's not about catty type of drama, you know, like you would normally see on the Real Housewives, you know, because, you know, somebody said something about somebody and it got misinterpreted, and then we spend the whole season hating each other because of some misunderstanding or miscommunication or something extremely petty, or creating fake drama. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of the scenes that we see are, you know, manufactured by the producers, but this episode 3, what I loved about it is that it got down to the business of being a sustainable music group, you know, the everyday business of it. Because when they were talking about who's going to headline, who's going to get paid more, I loved that, because it was about the business of music. It wasn't about anything catty. It wasn't about any type of drama. It was about the business of music, the things that they deal with, you know, in their profession every day. But anyways, let's get started. So I talked about Taj and Tasha. They're at the, I think they're at the African Museum of Music. And Tasha is telling Taj about what she's going through with her sister. She's talking about, because Taj was like, what's really going on between you and your sister? And Tasha says, well, you know, it was the body shaming, you know, calling her, saying that she had no booty. And you know how that has been like an issue for her, having she said the littlest booty of the group. I think she meant the flattest. I think she was trying to say the flattest. But anyways, so so she talks about how her sister was body shaming her, like saying that she didn't have enough butt, or she didn't have any butt at all. And then Taj says, so you fell out with your sister because of that? And then Tasha says, well, she was also disrespecting our mother. And Taj, in her confessional, she was like, you know what? I feel like Tasha wasn't really giving me the full story. And she wasn't. And she wasn't, because she didn't talk about the $30,000 that Tamika accused her of stealing. And that's really the root of the problem. And a sub root to the root is how the mother favors one daughter over the other. So the disrespect, which I didn't think that Tamika was disrespectful. Just because she was expressing her frustration to her mom, I didn't see that as being disrespectful. She didn't call her mom a name. She didn't tell her mom to shut up. She was not disrespectful. She was just extremely frustrated. So moving on from there. Oh yeah. And so then Tasha tells Taj that she is in talks of a solo deal. Moving on from there, Coco. She meets up with her two best friends, and this is where we find out that Coco was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder. And we found this out because one of her friends asked her, so how are you okay mentally? And this is when she tells us that she was diagnosed with bipolar, and she talks about how she'll be like extremely happy, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she'll be like overcome by this huge wave of really deep depression. So she's in therapy to help her with that. And she says that there was a time she knew that she had a problem when she was seriously contemplating taking someone's life. That's when she knew she had a problem. And I guess she was like literally trying to figure out the logistics of how she was going to make this person's life end. So then that's when she decided to go see a therapist, and then she was diagnosed. And I don't mean to laugh, but wow. And then we see some snippet of SWV getting ready to do a show, which I absolutely loved. I love to see these women are still working. They're women of color. They're women of a certain age. And they are still killing it. They are still killing it because their music, their style, their everything has such an influence to those of us who were growing up, or to those of us who were like in our teens and in our 20s around that time. Y'all just don't even understand. I guess it's almost kind of like the way Elvis had an effect on young America. These are the groups that had a huge effect on people like me. Anyways, moving on to Tamika. So her mother, excuse me, y'all. Tamika, her mother comes over for dinner, and I'm pretty sure that the meal that she prepared came from her cookbook. And she said on her YouTube channel that she has the cookbook, but Bravo, for whatever reason, doesn't want to promote it. She talked about on her channel, she talked about how when they had gone over to Tiny's house in the previous episode, and Tiny was mixing them those drinks, that came from her cookbook, but Bravo never showed the cookbook. Okay, so her mother comes over, and when her mom entered the home, I was like, y'all aren't gonna hug and kiss? I mean, it was so, their greeting was so formal and so cold. The mom steps in, is like, hello, Tamika. Hello, mother. And there was like no hugs, no kisses, no nothing. So they sit down, they're having dinner, and they start talking about their issues. Tamika talks about the favoritism. The mother, obviously, I don't think the mother denied it, because eventually the mother apologized and says, I'm sorry if I was more of a mother to her than I ever was to you. But what I want to know is, Mom, why? Why did you favor one over the other? Why? How can you have children and for whatever reason, was it because one looked like your ex-husband, and the other one didn't? I'm not understanding, because the mother, to me, Tasha and her mom look a lot alike. And from the pictures that we saw of their father, because they showed us some old family photos, I think Tamika probably favors her dad. And Tamika says in her confessional that when her parents divorced, her mother really never got over the divorce. She was a stay-at-home mom. So the father was the main breadwinner. And so when they got the divorce and he left, the mom was put in a position where she had to go out there and she had to make it happen. And, she raised these kids by herself after the divorce. I don't know if she was getting financial support from their father or not. But Tamika tells us that her mother never really got over the divorce, because this man left her high and dry to raise these children by herself. And I don't even know if he ever looked back. And so I'm wondering if something about Tamika maybe reminds her of her ex-husband, and that's where this whole favoritism thing stems from, but who knows. So the mom talks about how she's always been the fifth member of Escape. And I think she was talking about that because during that discussion, y'all, my husband was watching the show with me. And whenever he's in the room with me and I'm watching one of my shows, I'm trying to concentrate and take my notes. But he's busy yapping, yapping, yapping and asking questions like, and who's that? And why are they not talking to each other? And why are they yelling? And I have to pause and start, pause and start. Then I get lost in the sauce. But I think when she was talking about being the fifth member of Escape, I think this is, her point was, you know, she encouraged them to go into the singing business. And so without her, they would never be in Escape because half of Escape are her kids. Maybe she was trying to say, look, I had a lot of input in this group becoming what it was. And so I'm going to have a lot of say so on the decision making of this group. So yeah, I will always be the fifth member of Escape. I don't know if that's what she meant or what. So then after that, the mom says that, Tamika was being disrespectful. Tamika apologized, even though I personally don't think that Tamika was being disrespectful. And so the mother apologized, for showing favoritism towards Tasha, and they hug it out. And, the mom was crying and Tamika was crying, and it was a really touching moment. I just hope that, they have both learned from this. And I understand that it's hard for the mom to pick sides. So with the whole money situation, I believe that I tend to believe Tamika when it comes to the royalty money that she claims her sister stole from her. I kind of lean more towards Tamika. But I understand as a mom, you don't want to pick sides because one daughter says, I didn't do this. And the other daughter says, yes, you did. And you don't really want to pick sides because Tamika did say that at some point in the past, the mom had told her, well, if your sister took your money, she probably needed it more than you at the time or really needed it for something important at the time. And Tamika's response was, but I was pregnant. I had a kid in college. What are you talking about? She needed it more than me. So maybe the mom doesn't want to get too involved with it because she doesn't want to pick sides. I don't know, but it seemed like the mom was more towards Tasha's side because the mom told Tamika on camera, your sister never took any money from you. So I'm just trying to give the mom, trying to throw her a lifeline of why she is not completely on Tamika's side when it comes to the money. I don't know. Moving on, Taj and Candy. So Taj and Candy meet up at Candy's house, and this is where Taj tells Candy that Tasha is looking for a solo deal, that she's in talks of doing a solo album. And Candy says, well, this is history repeating herself because this has happened before. Whenever Tasha starts acting kind of funny with the group and has this really big head, it's a sign of the times that she's, trying to separate herself from the group and try to do her own thing. Then we go more into Lily. We meet her son, who is a rapper, I think. He's also in the music industry. She talks about her book. I forgot what it was called. It had a really salacious title, which I'm not going to say. I don't know, something hot box, but she doesn't say the word box. But it's an erotic. It's an erotic book, and I'm like, go ahead, girl, make your money, do your thing. I am loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the multiple streams of income. She said that she wrote a book previously that was more about her struggles, and so she wanted to make a book that was a little bit more lighthearted and not so heavy. And then she talks about her struggles. She said in 1998 she was living in her car. And she said that she would drive around all night because she didn't feel comfortable sleeping in her car. She didn't feel comfortable sleeping in her car because she was afraid of getting attacked, assaulted, or robbed. So she would drive around all night. And then in the daytime, when the sun came up, she would go park at the football stadium and sleep in the parking lot there. And my thing is, I don't question the fact that they had lost their money because obviously this happens to a lot of artists where they lose their money. But why was she homeless? Because in 1998, did she have kids? I think she already had she was already a mom in 1998. So wherever her child was, why couldn't she live there as well? Because I'm pretty sure a relative was taking care of her child at that time Why couldn't she live with, I don't know. But anyway, she was homeless. And she found herself in a really, she had hit rock bottom, but she decided to go back to school. She got her GED, and she got a job. She got an office job, and she got her life back together. And now here she is once again in the music industry, killing the game, touring, making money, doing what she loves. I am loving it. And so it just shows that you can be at the very bottom, lose everything, work your way up back to the top to where you used to be. That's a beautiful story. Go ahead, Lily. Moving on to Tasha. So Tasha, she's in the studio. She's in the studio working on her album, and her husband comes out. Y'all, every time I see her husband, Rocky Bivens, I think about that story that came out last year, 2022, about him having an affair. Well, the so-called alleged mistress, she came out and had posted something on her social media with his picture, talking about, love lost, and he broke her heart and whatever, and she should have known better than to mess with a married man, and talking about the possibility of her being pregnant or something. And then after that, she took down that post and she put up another post that said, "Hey, y'all, my previous post about Rocky Bivens was not true. I was just making up stuff." Then she took down that post and put up another post that said, "Okay, my first post was real. My second post, I was forced to do that. Somebody made me put up that second post to discredit my first post. But now I'm letting y'all know the actual truth, the real deal, Holyfield. And yes, I was having an affair with Rocky Bivens." So the fact that he had, in my personal opinion, I don't know the facts and I don't have the receipts, but in my personal opinion, I think that Rocky Bivens had forced her to put up that second post to discredit the first one. And that just shows how controlling he is, because he's very controlling with Tasha. And I see him being very controlling with this alleged mistress and forcing her to take down that post and to make it look like she has some type of a lapse in judgment. She has some type of a psychotic break when she put up that first initial exposing post. But anyway, so Tasha's in the damn studio and her husband comes in and she has a conversation with him, and she tells her husband that, they want to go, the girls want to go on tour with SWV, and what does he think? And he says, "Well, it's up to you. It's up to you." And so he said, but I guess he was trying to persuade her to go ahead and do it because he knows she's going to make a lot of money from the tour. And he tells her, but if anything, it's going to remind them who you are, that you still are that, that you still got the voice, the vocals that never went away. And Tasha also talks about how she won't, because I think he asked her, "Are you going to tell the rest of the group about your solo deal?" And I think she said that she wasn't going to tell them because every time she talks about her solo deals with the group, they kind of poo-poo all over it. They don't encourage her. They don't support her. So she wants to keep this to herself. Moving on to Coco. So she's with her son. Her son looks just like her. Oh my God, looks just like her. So she's with her son, who's 19 years old, and he is in dental school. So the son sits down and has a heart to heart with her, and he says, "Look, Mom, I know that I used to really want to be a dentist, and I know that's what you want me to do, but my heart is telling me that I need to go into music," because he's also a singer. And Coco was really upset about that, and she was trying to encourage him to not do it. And she says, "I wish for myself that I had a backup plan, that I had a college degree, but I didn't. So all I have was this music. So I don't want you to, to be like that. I want you to have something else going on besides just depending on the music." And so he's like, "But my heart's just not in dentistry." And she was like, "But it used to be. You really wanted to do this." And he says, "I know, but I don't want to do it anymore." And she's like, "But I'm paying for this." So then she tells him, "Your grandma's going to be upset." So he calls his grandmother. And you know how grandparents are about their grandchildren. They will, whatever the grandbaby wants, the grandbaby gets. So he tells his grandmother, "Hey, I was talking to Mom and I don't really want to do the dentistry thing. I think I want to go into music." And the grandma was like, "But why? I don't understand." The grandma was kind of like, "Oh no, you're going to stay in dentistry." And so he says, "Oh, how about this? What if I take a break from school for a year, concentrate on my music, and then after a year, we'll see where we're at." And the grandmother was like, "Okay, baby, that's a good idea." And Coco was like, "What? You were never like that with me. You would never, ever have let me do something like that. But Coco, when it comes to grandparents, what the grandbaby wants, the grandbaby gets. So that was funny. So we're moving on now to the rehearsal. So both groups have to show up for their like rehearsal, business meeting type of thing. So Candy starts off the meeting because they have a meeting, and it's SWV, it's Xscape, and it's SWV's manager, Dan. I don't think there was any management there from Xscape. So Candy starts off about oh, but by this time, Candy had already told the rest of Xscape that Tasha's looking for a solo deal. So Tamika is up on game and Tiny is up on game. And Tiny said that she had already suspected it because she saw the signs in the way that the way that Latasha was acting. She was kind of like being distant from the group, having a whole bunch of attitude. So Tiny was like, I already peeped game of what she was up to. So now they're having the meeting, and Tosh asks if they're all in agreement to do this one show for one night at some place, and at some venue. That's what I'm trying to say. At some venue, everyone's in agreement. Good. So then the next question is billing. Candy's all about her money and all about her business, and so she's like, okay, what about the billing? Candy wants Xscape to have top billing. And I guess she's trying to imply that SWV is going to open for Xscape. Or if not that, then they're going to have top billing. Their names are going to be on top, possibly with bigger letters and possibly with more money. And of course, SWV, they're not trying to hear that, because they say we sold 30 million to your 7 million. So why in the hell would we be opening up for y'all? That's just not going to happen. And so SWV suggests, why don't we co-headline? And Candy's like, okay, but we just have a bigger fan base. We have a bigger fan base. And so she's still insisting on Xscape having the top billing. So it gets kind of tense in that meeting. SWV, they have to get up and take a break. So they go to the back room, and Taj was like, in the 90s, Xscape never headlined, but SWV, I'm assuming, did. Like I said before, SWV sold way more records than Xscape did. But Candy's whole point is we have a bigger fan base, so we know how to bring in the money. So if the majority of the people that are going to be attending are attending to see us because we have our music fan base. Now, she didn't say this, but this is what I'm assuming she's talking about, because she was like, Xscape, they have their music fan base, so it's true hardcore Xscape fans. And then you also have, on top of that, you have your TV fan base, because Candy and Tiny are on reality TV shows that are extremely successful on Bravo. So you have your reality TV fans as well. Whereas SWV is just bringing in their old 90s fans, the fans from the 90s, and that's it. So Candy thinks like, if we're bringing in more people, we should get top billing and we should get more money. SWV, they're like, wait a minute, because we outsold y'all. So we are, this is a concert. This is for music. So if our music sold more than y'all's did, why in the world would we be opening up for y'all? And that's where the episode ended. And Tiny told Candy, girl, maybe you should have just worded that a little bit better, because Candy, she was serious about it. She said it so bluntly. She was like, we should have top billing. And she wasn't trying to sugarcoat it, or she wasn't trying to finesse it in any kind of way. She was really blunt. And so, yeah. And Coco, the faces that she was making when Candy was talking about them having top billing, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. So I think they should co-headline. I get it, Candy. I understand that you're all about business. You're all about your money. I totally understand. The thing is, and I understand, maybe they have more fans because they've got the music fans and the TV fans as well. But you don't want to burn that bridge. You don't want to burn that bridge, because it's very few very few girl groups, especially girl groups of color, that are still out there doing it as big as y'all are. And you don't want to burn these bridges. I don't know. I think they should just they should just co-headline. They should just co-headline. If I'm going to go to a concert, I've been watching Candy on The Real Housewives of Atlanta ever since she jumped on the scene. I've never watched T.I. and Tiny Family Hustle, never watched that. But if I'm going to go see Xscape and SWV, I'm going there more so for SWV because they had more songs that I remember and that I truly enjoyed. So I would be going there mostly for SWV. So, and I'm a Candy fan, and I've watched her on Real Housewives of Atlanta and on her wedding show special, and her other little spinoff when her family went off into the mountains of Colorado to go skiing. I've watched all of that, and I enjoy Candy and I like Candy, but I don't think that Xscape should have top billing. I think they should co-headline. Thank you so much for joining me for this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video, and if you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.